If you've ever lived in a snowy climate, you know the quiet that is snow. Something seems to happen, and all around you, the world seems to still when it snows. The traffic noise all but disappears. The animal chatter somehow is silenced. The inside noises even seem to fade away. And that is the quiet that I imagine Elijah hears following the wind and the earthquake and the fire that day on the mountain. It is in the silence that God's voice breaks through. But this week, as I read and I reread this story, my attention kept drawing to some different parts of the story. I did some reading, and Elijah, in the preceding chapters to our story today, was endlessly brave. He had faced down what we read is 450 rivals who were not worshiping God anymore. They were worshiping Baal, and he faced those 450 people down. He was doing a stellar job as a prophet, truth-telling for the people of Israel. But in our story today, he's done. He is ready to call it a day, to give it all up. He is done fighting for those who have gone astray. I imagine this is how some of our modern day prophets, our warriors for justice, might feel as well. Those who are day after day fighting against racism, against sexism, against heterosexism, against all the isms that plague our communities today. They might just want to throw up their hands and give up. It just isn't helping. I'm done. Elijah, many today, just might want to give up. But if we look closely at how this story unfolds, before God reveals God's self in the silence, two important things happen. First, Elijah falls asleep. And second, he eats. These two simple things we often don't do well. And they have the power to renew us. A good nap, a very restful and complete night of sleep, a meal filled with fruits and vegetables and protein and not just some junk food, though it tastes good. These two things can change our entire outlook. They can change our mood, they can change our perspective, and it's not magic that our bodies crave. They crave rest and nutritious food. So that's the two things that we see first. And then we see that Elijah goes up a mountain. Last summer, while I was on sabbatical, I read the book Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking Stress by Emily and Amelia Nagoski. And in that, they talk about how our bodies encounter stress. They encounter danger every day, and we need to release that stress and danger from our bodies. Now, back in the day, stress often came from some sort of physical danger. You are being chased by a lion. And the release of that stress would not simply come because the lion is gone and you are still alive. They say that actually the release comes from the running from the lion. Your body lets go of the stress of that lion by running. Now, today, not many of us are chased by a lion, I'm guessing. Our stress comes from the news cycle that constantly bombards us. Our stress comes from work, from family, from our bank accounts, from so much more. Now, these stressors, they're not lions, but our body still needs to release this stress. Now, if you're like me, going for a run is not your jam. I hate to run. Maybe if I was being chased by a lion, I might actually run. But there's other things, though, we can do. We can do yoga. We can go for a hike like Elijah did. We can do some gardening. We can even take some deep breaths to help let go of the stress in our bodies. There's someone I follow on Instagram, and they're entitled Black Liturgies, and they have a near daily post reminding us to breathe. And they have what is referred to as a breath prayer, where you say part of a phrase as you breathe in and part of a phrase as you breathe out. And this form of prayer, this form of breathing, helps us to sort of focus and to release some of that stress. And by having a phrase to say when our mind is wandering off, we remember that phrase in our breath, and we can come right back to the center. So I want to invite you to try this with me. Now, here is an image from Black Liturgies this past week, and Howard Thurman once said, "In the stillness of the quiet, if we listen, we can hear the whisper of the heart, giving strength to weakness, courage to fear, hope to despair." And then it says, "Dear ones, the tragedy of the world can make us restless. If your soul is tired, bodily exhaustion won't save you. Pause, breathe, stay near to yourself today." So today, during this time, I'm going to invite you to breathe. And we're going to do this for 2 minutes. There's 2 phrases we're going to say, 2 different slides. We're going to do 1 minute each. Now, for some of us, this 1 minute is going to seem like just a blip. And for some of us, this is the longest minute of our entire lives, I promise you. It'll be a minute. So I invite you to decide if you want to close your eyes. You can focus on a candle, the banner, the floor, whatever's going to help you sort of focus, maybe the screen. And remember to breathe in with one phrase and out with the other. And I'm even going to set my timer so that you know that I'm keeping track. But let us breathe together. Be still, my soul. Oh, we'll start with this one. This is too much to hold. I will rest in sacred silence. Be still, my soul. In this quiet, I'm renewed. I invite us to gently come back into this space. You can keep on breathing. Friends, there is so much in our world that needs our attention. There is so much that can cause us stress. So let's be like Elijah. Fall asleep under a tree. Eat a delicious meal. Spend some time in stillness. Find ways to release that stress from our bodies. Breathe. Breathe deeply and intentionally. Because as we hear at the end of our story, God tells Elijah to get back to work. And God tells us the same and reminds us that in the sleeping, the eating, the stillness, the stress release, the breathing, and the work that we are doing, our God is with us. Thanks be to God. Amen.